Welcome to the Relevance Report, where we explore the relevant stories that are shaping our world today. I'm Sarah Johnson, your host this week. On today's show, a developing case has raised concerns across the city. Police are investigating suspicious death. Next, we'll look at the real-world consequences of the overconsumption of social media. Then, we look at theories of an extremist Christian prophecy, the rapture, and how it fits within modern society. After that, we'll talk about how microtrends have taken advantage of retail therapy. Lastly, we'll take a bite into the rise of food culture in Edmonton. Investigators in Edmonton have turned to social media to ask for leads in the suspicious death of a woman. Police are showing how social media can be used as a tool to gather information and evidence. Here's more. Hello, I'm Sarah. Today, we're looking at a troubling story out of Edmonton. A suspicious death in the city's northwest that has left many questions unanswered and police asking for help from the public. On the morning of September 21st, 2025, at approximately 6:30 a.m., Edmonton Police Service Northwest Patrol officers responded to a 911 call in the area around Conestoga Street and Bonaventure Avenue in northwest Edmonton. When they arrived, they discovered the body of a 34-year-old woman. Authorities have classified the death as suspicious and say that the EPS homicide section is now investigating. An autopsy was scheduled to take place on Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. As of now, the police have released few other details. We don't have a cause of death, we don't know whether foul play is confirmed, or whether there are persons of interest. The investigation is ongoing. What we do know is that Edmonton Police is asking for assistance. They want anyone with video evidence, security cameras, doorbell cams, dash cams from the area around Conestoga Street and Bonaventure Avenue during the evening and night hours leading into the morning of September 21st to come forward. They have asked witnesses or those with information to contact EPS at 780-423-4567 or anonymously via Crime Stoppers. This kind of case cuts deep into community. Someone's life has ended either under unclear circumstances and people want answers. Investigations like this depend just not on forensic evidence, but also on the eyes and the ears of the community. Neighbors, commuters, passerbys, people with cameras. For listeners in Northwest Edmonton, especially those near Conestoga or Bonaventure, if you were driving or lived nearby, you noticed anything odd, someone wandering, vehicles parked unusually, lights and windows at odd hours, now is the time to check your camera footage. Even small bits of info become critical and puzzles that investigators could use to connect dots. I'll be watching this case closely, and as soon as more is released from the autopsy report to any arrests or leads, I'll bring you updates. Meanwhile, our thoughts are with the victim's family and with anyone stepping forward to help shed light on what happened. Thank you for listening. If you have any tips, hear something relevant, please reach out to EPS or Crime Stoppers. I'm Sarah. Thank you. Political tension and social media influence are beginning to prove fatal. American political influencer Charlie Kirk was recently assassinated while speaking at a university rally in Utah. Social media has rapidly changed the way people share and receive information. How can our society move forward without hatred and division? Joe Fraze shares an opinion piece on overexposure to social media consumption.
Political tension is familiar to Canadians and others around the world. Canadians recently witnessed a truckers' convoy protesting vaccination laws, F. Trudeau stickers on the back of pickup trucks, and our neighbors to the south elected the most polarizing president of this generation for a second time. Inevitably, there are disputes between those who disagree on social issues. However, social media enabled hatred between affiliations to spread rampant. Social media accounts like Yegwave focus their content towards crime, politics, and other controversial topics that are likelier to provoke engagement with posts. Earlier this month, Charlie Kirk, an American right-wing influencer, was assassinated. Kirk's videos often appeared on social media feeds as he voiced his opinion on several controversial topics. Kirk's values opposed many, but social media's vilification of Kirk posed him as a threat to those with differing views. All opinions aside, Kirk was a man who debated others on social topics, and he gave others a platform to learn from one another. Kirk is not local, but his death should serve as a reminder that political affiliations and personal values should not lead to tragedy. Charlie Kirk never met his gunman, but the gunman disagreed with Kirk's opinions through videos circulated on social media. If someone reaches the idealization of murder or suicide, they need to be reminded of life outside of screens, news headlines, and social media. We, as a society, need to learn from Kirk's assassination. Instead of spreading hatred, fear, and divisiveness, we need to be grateful, encourage, and learn from one another to continue our country's proud legacy of kindness and diverseness to build a better future. Disagreeing with others is frustrating, but you can spend your energy on things that bring you joy. We may feel political tension, but we still live in a free country where the tension is minute compared to countries in war zones. I hope this message serves as a reminder to those who are in a negative headspace from news and social media overconsumption. You are not alone, and there is always help available. The world may seem crazy, but social issues do not need to be personal issues. Go outside, enjoy your freedom, and do something that brings you joy. Thank you all for listening, and stay kind.
Christian influencers continues to project in their internal morals across social media platforms. But at what point is this all for shock factor? Anae Piercy takes a factual approach to exploring a recent Christian extremist theory and why consumers have gone wild over it.
Prophecies, peculiar predictions, and the possibility of the rapture. Do the visions and gossip behind the ideas hold any truth, or is it just another subject of political media? Captured September 2025, your host Anae Piercy examines the theories, timelines, and a whole lot of questions regarding this extremist affair, with a touch of Canadian common sense. In recent years, religious speculation and the study of the end of times has increasingly captured public attention across media and secluded communities alike. Among the latest dates to garner this attention is yesterday, September 23rd, and the date this is being recorded, September 24th, 2025. As this event is seemingly ongoing, I can only update this timeline as to when the audio is being recorded. A brief summary into this event starts to focus on how the internet has gone wild looking into theories surrounding a potential motive of divine intervention, specifically the rapture. The rapture is simply defined as a spirituous event in which believers of Christ are said to be physically lifted and brought up to heaven a period before tribulation on earth. As discussed by many satirical TikToks and other social media posts, a South African preacher was said to be honored with spiritual visions of a rapture happening yesterday or today. This was believed by Christians because his claims of those specific dates are directly related to the Jewish New Year, which are important biblical dates. If you've been on social media recently, you've most likely seen believers stating their views on the rapture, warning humans not to be left behind, selling personal belongings, and their meticulous plans for the event. Believers preach rules about how to act while being lifted, as to what to do with limbs while arising. Unbelievers project these claims as religious psychosis. While the idea of the rapture is deeply embedded into the strands of American Christianity, the discussion has also gained traction north of the border, within Canada, specifically in our province, where evangelical Christianity maintains a visible presence. The speculation surrounding September 2025 raises important questions. Why this date? Why now? And what does this moment mean within a Canadian context? Importantly, these ideas represent a pattern-seeking impulse that often emerges during periods of social uncertainty. This event isn't just a one-time thing. CBC's top stories state that the same situation has been brought up multiple times in the past. For example, May 21st, 2011, multiple dates over the 90s decade and the 1800s century, and every time the day passes by without disturbance. Admittedly, I wanted to attempt this podcast assignment regarding issues of my own concern, involving school and Albertan-wide student struggles. Instead, this global event caught my attention, like many media scandals do. The rapture is another phenomenon that places civilians into good and bad categories. For example, those who are well endowed will be lifted into heaven, and those who have not abided by Christian guidelines will physically stay on earth. This gets many media viewers pondering their most recent decisions in morality. As the rapture is different than Jesus' second coming, many Christians don't believe this event to be factual. CBC's journalists report that the word rapture does not even appear in the Bible, and this could simply be a story of people reaching common solutions for post-traumatic stress. While this day may pass by like so many others with no divine interruption, the questions it raises still remain valuable. Do media presenting issues cause us to question if we live with integrity and accountability, or simply mean that we are becoming more gullible to media scandals? Again, this has been Anae Piercy, and thank you for listening.
We all have our own unique ways to cope with stress. One way that people have found to cope with stress is through retail therapy. It can offer up a quick and easy way to feel better, but is it a good thing? Rhea Francesca Amano-Pallais reflects on retail therapy and how microtrends have impacted it.
Hello, I'm Rhea Francesca Amano-Pallais, and today we're going to talk about how money has been holding the key to happiness through retail therapy and how microtrends come into play. These trends can rise and fall quicker than you realize and end up influencing how you will shop, spend, and feel about yourself in the long run. A microtrend can be defined as a short-lived consumer behavioral trend. Think about the color baby blue being rebranded as blueberry milk for the color of your next nail set. Or think about replacing your supposedly fireproof Stanley with the allegedly leak-proof Owala. It's these microtrends that give consumers a way to express their identities and a sense of belonging, but also push for frequent and impulsive purchases that provide some form of satisfaction. Retail therapy tells you what it is just from its name: shopping as a means for a sense of emotional comfort or relief from stressors. A 2011 article provided evidence that shopping can trigger dopamine-related reward pathways, and creating a short-lived happiness and encouraging repeated spending. Microtrends have impacted retail therapy by offering consumers a way to find happiness through new products that appeal to their identity or sense of belonging. But then does this go on to prove that money really is the key to happiness, or is it the experiences and control you get when spending money? Another study provided evidence that even though there's temporary mood improvement, compulsive or addictive consumption patterns can emerge when retail therapy is used as a primary coping mechanism. Additionally, there can be some guilt associated with making impulsive purchases, which can lead to financial frustrations or continuation of these compulsive and addictive spending behaviors. And retailers can easily capitalize on these behaviors. Microtrends have quietly yet quickly slid into Edmonton stores such as Urban Planet, Urban Outfitters, Blue Notes, and Miniso. Resellers on Facebook Marketplace scramble for Pop Mart blind boxes like the furry 9-tooth Labubu, the puffy cheek Crybaby, or the aesthetic and expressive Skull Panda. Retailers foster these microtrends and push consumers to jump on the microtrend bandwagon before the next one comes around. All this ends up accelerating consumer consumption. So even though money does hold the key to happiness, the big thing to realize is that we, the consumers, are the ones holding the key. We need to understand how our emotional and psychological relationship with money and consumption shapes our lives. By recognizing these behaviors, we can start to know how much we correlate our consumption with our happiness.
If you've ever explored Edmonton-based social media, you will see multiple posts about the vibrant food scene presented by local influencers. But have you ever thought about the impact of these influencers on the food industry? Amasha Nayakarana analyzes the good and bad impacts of social media food influencers and their mark on restaurants.
Let's talk about Edmonton's rise of food influencers and their impact on business, staff, and the community. Food influencers have been gaining popularity in the past few years across the world, but Edmonton itself has seen a large growth as new cuisine and restaurants open up. It has been said that Edmonton is a city with a vibrant food scene in which people can find restaurants ranging from fine dining to cozy cafes to mom-and-pop hidden gems around the city. The variety is astounding as owners open up restaurants that differ in cuisines from different countries as well as fusions. Of course, if you're feeling a little less adventurous, there are many Western comfort food options that are also available. Each restaurant is different from the other, even within the same chains. However, for today, we're going to keep focus on singularly owned restaurants. Due to this boom of restaurants, there's also been a subsequent rise in food influencers on social media. These influencers can work with restaurants to promote giveaways or boost restaurant traffic by recommending these locations to their followers. Using short-form videos and engaging photos, they are able to highlight the dining experience at a location. Though there can be merit in having these influencers help promote restaurants, there's also a negative impact that can occur. Foodie influencers are treated differently by restaurant owners, as the impact these foodies have on their followers can bring in revenue to the restaurant. This impact can be sometimes felt at the cost of their own employees, who may not be happy with the added intricacies of dealing with these influencers. Recent questions of consent to be recorded have been brought up, as staff is sometimes expected to be okay with being recorded at work, as to avoid accidentally impacting the review negatively. Some front-of-house staff on TikTok have also brought up the issues of influencers being rude, entitled, or belittling them. This can cause a harsh working condition for staff, as they are now expected to perform differently in some cases. There is also a concern of dishonest reviewing, as restaurants will pay influencers to post a review, or others will simply extend an invitation to them and typically compensate the meal. It has been seen that some influencers do not disclose that they are doing paid ads and act as though they are simply stating an opinion. Though followers are quick to point it out, it is on the influencer to disclose that they are doing a paid advertisement for the restaurant. The cost of having these influencers come to promote restaurants has also become a topic of conversation on social media, as some restaurant owners have brought up the issue of being quoted upwards of $3,000 to have the influencer show up to create a review. In a world in which restaurants have one of the highest business closure rates, it's important to note why social media and influencers are seen as such important parts of business now. However, it is just as important to hold them to a standard which causes the least amount of harm to people. From disclosing ads to their followers to ensuring they are treating those around them with respect, it's important to expect a certain amount of professionalism and honesty in this rising phenomenon.
Thanks for joining us for the Relevance Report. This week's episode was produced by Sarah Johnson, Joe Fraze, Anae Piercy, Rhea Francesca, and Amasha Nayakarana. The show is edited by Amasha Nayakarana. The show's supervising producer is Sheena Rossiter. Additional studio supervision by Sasha Stanovich. This episode was produced as part of the BCSC 206 Introduction to Audio and Video course in the fall 2025 semester. The course is part of the Bachelor of Communication Studies program in the Department of Communication at MacEwan University. The show was edited and produced out of the MacEwan Media Production Studio. Our theme music is called Buzzing by Kaylee Lambert. Additional music for this podcast is provided by Pixabay.com free audio tracks. The episode features SAG documentary background music by Sigma Music Art, lo-fi instrumental by Free Music for Video, documentary background music by Sigma Music Art. Logo design for this podcast is by Sasha Stanovich. And I'm Sarah Johnson, your host for this week's episode. This podcast was recorded on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 9, 10, and 11 within the historical North Saskatchewan River Territory. Don't forget to subscribe to the Relevance Report on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you heard, please leave us a review and rating. Really helps people find the show. Please join us again next week when we report the relevant stories that are shaping our world.